Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I'm currently here in Anderson, Indiana. I'm on my way to go visit some people up in Ohio, but I wanted to stop by Indiana because I got people here in Indiana to visit as well. I mean, I got some close friends here in Anderson. I used to live here in Anderson. And I figured while I was here, I would throw together a video of, basically, I'm going to throw a video together just breaking down, some of the different sections here in Anderson, like places to live, places where some of you might not want to live, and just give some basic information about this city, because there are other people that have done videos of Anderson, Indiana on their YouTube channel, and I've watched many of those videos, and I've also read many of the comment sections. Me, myself, I have done videos of Anderson, and I've done quite a few of them of Anderson. And obviously, I do read the comment sections on those videos too. So, there's been a fair amount of people that think Anderson is this cesspool of the city. There's nothing here. It's terrible to live. It's ran down. It's crime infested, and it's got all type of issues with drugs and on and on and on. And there's also people that I've saw in the comment section that defend this city. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do my best to break down the city of Anderson, give my honest opinion about this city, give some information about this city that I feel is accurate. And this is coming from a person who has spent several years living here in Anderson. Now, bear in mind, ever since I have been in my early 20s, I have done some extensive traveling throughout this country. Now, during the days I was doing all my traveling, YouTube wasn't even out. Even when YouTube did come out, I didn't think to go ahead and record and document the places I went, like YouTubers are doing today. I just went, had a good time, done what I did, and then went back home. But I've lived in several different places. I lived in mid-sized cities, larger cities, small towns, rural communities. I lived in all type of communities. And I will say, Anderson, and I will say, in my adult life, out of all the different places that I've resided, I will say Anderson is the longest. I think Anderson is the longest place. Well, no, it's not. Well, Anderson is one of the longest places where I've resided. It's not the longest, but it's one of the longest. And is Anderson perfect? No. Does Anderson have issues? Of course it does. I mean, point me out a city that's got 55,000 people population that's 100% perfect, no issues, no crime, no bad areas. Everything is just peachy perfect. If you can point out a place like that, then I will gladly point out a liar. Because most cities in the United States that have the population of 50-some thousand people are not going to be perfect. Now, are there cities that are in better condition than Anderson? Yes, there are. But there's also many cities that are far worse off compared to Anderson. Here in Indiana and also outside of Indiana. And for those of you that are looking for some utopia, good luck finding it. And if you do find it, you're going to have to work like an animal to stay in that particular community. I mean, typically that's how that goes when it comes to looking for a place to live. I don't care where you go, even if you think it's a utopia of a place to live, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to come with its challenges. It's going to come with its issues. I mean, the challenges could be racial. It could be financial. It could be infrastructural. It could be all kinds of shit. So as soon as I get downtown here, I'm going to just start saying what I'm going to say. All right, folks, I'm going to start downtown Anderson. I'm going to take you guys through a brief tour of the downtown Anderson area. Now, downtown Anderson, as many of you who know Anderson already realize, I mean, for the most part, there's really nothing fancy or special about downtown Anderson. I mean, downtown Anderson is just a typical downtown of a smaller city. I mean, and I would say in a nutshell, if you're looking for a place that's full of entertainment, you're not going to find that here in Anderson. Like I've told you on my earlier videos I've made when I began recording content here in the state of Indiana, Indiana is not going to be the type of state you're going to even want to live. If you're looking for somewhere to live to where you're going to be bombarded with entertainment. But, you know, I'm going to take you guys through a brief tour of downtown Anderson. And bear in mind, I am recording this video on a Sunday, which is why you guys do not see a bunch of traffic, because I'm recording on a Sunday. And obviously during the work week, you would have saw a lot more traffic, especially downtown. Now, the traffic here in Anderson, for the most part, is not insane. It's not crazy. It's not overwhelming. I mean, obviously during the rush hours, you will experience more traffic than any other time of the day, like you do many other cities. But here in Anderson, it's not, like I said, it's not overwhelming. Now, I will say there are times here in downtown where you will run into some homelessness, and that tends to be unfortunately, that that tends to be increasing here in Anderson, like it is in many other cities, big and small. And I will say my main gripe about downtown is you have all these one-way streets. Now, me being the YouTube content creator, creating this type of content, these one-way streets do make my job a little harder, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna give you guys a little tour downtown, and then every time I go into a section of this city, I'll let you know where I'm at and what you can expect, and rather or rather not to live there or not, depending on your preference and your finances. And just so you guys know, I am recording this video. I mean, this is a Sunday, and it's the middle of February, and on this particular day, the weather is 45 degrees. I mean, it's in the morning time. It's like 10:30 in the morning, so it's not too bad today. And for those of you that don't exactly know where Anderson is located 45 minutes north of Indianapolis. You can get to Anderson off of Interstate 69. And it's only a half hour from many of your northern Indiana suburbs, like, Carmel, Fishers, Noblesville, Westfield. So this city is conveniently located to both the Indianapolis metro area along with its northern suburbs. And for those of you that are looking to live here in Anderson, I would say that the housing market here is, it's relatively active. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's super busy, but I will definitely contest that, yes, the housing market here is relatively active. I mean, housing prices appear to have came down a little bit since the summer, but nothing drastic. I mean, compared to what housing used to be, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, you're going to still pay more for a home today here in Anderson than you would have 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, houses that used to go for $25,000, $30,000, I would say are now going for at least $50,000. Alright folks, we're gonna take a drive through the west end of the city. Like where I'm at right now, I am on the west end of the city. I am on Lincoln. I'm on the corner of Lincoln and West 12th. I'm gonna keep on going here. What I want to do is, I want to first take some time and drive you guys through what's known as the historic district here in the city of Anderson. Alright folks, I'm on 8th Street. This is the historic district part of West Anderson. And I'm driving towards downtown, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to drive down the other way. Alright folks, we're going to go for the historic district first. And so for those of you that are looking to live in the city of Anderson, Indiana, or you're even thinking about it, maybe you may have looked at a house here in the historic district on this particular street. One thing I will say is, be very careful, and whoever you have over as a guest, if you have them park out here in the street, they need to be extremely careful when parking out here in the street, because there's been a lot of times when people will just be cruising down this street. Maybe they're under the influence of something, and they'll run right into the back of your vehicle and total your vehicle out. Or they'll run into the back of somebody else's vehicle, and then their vehicle gets totaled out. And then their vehicle will wreck your vehicle. I think you guys get the idea. So when living on 8th Street, be very cautious of parking your vehicle on that road. Now, some of these areas I'm going to be driving through, they're not going to necessarily be the historic district of the city, but these are communities that are close by. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to try to stay in the historic district. So, let me get back there. I just wanted to drive down 8th Street just to show you guys what I was talking about when it came to parking your vehicles on the street. I mean, I can't emphasize enough, be very careful when parking your vehicle there. Like, if you own a nice vehicle, make sure that when you purchase a home that has a garage, or at the minimum, when you purchase your home, before you move in, go ahead and build yourself a garage or a carport or a driveway or something in the back to where you can park your vehicle. In these communities I'm driving through right now are just communities that surround the historic district. So if you choose to buy a house in the historic district of this city, these are some of the surrounding communities you're going to be living around, just so you guys know. So when you people hear or see certain type of activities go on, I'm trying to illustrate some of the reasons why you might see what you might see. Now, I would say that if you choose to live in the historic district, I mean, I'm not going to say that the historic district is necessarily a bad part of the city to live. I mean, the houses here are beautiful. I mean, me personally, I love the old school architects. I love the old 1800s, the early 1900s infrastructure. However, to be completely honest, if you're wanting to live in the historic district, I would say the major drawback of living in this area is the fact that you're going to be living very close to some other communities that are not going to be as they're not going to be the most desirable community to live. I'll just put it to you like that. Now, I would say that the average home in the historic district that's fixed up, ready to go, turnkey, moving ready, all that fun stuff, I would say that you're looking at, off the top of my head, I'm gonna say you're gonna be looking at at least a few $100,000. Now, every so often, you might be able to come across one of these houses that would be a fixer-upper that you can probably grab up for under $100,000. But I would say, for the most part, if you buy one of these houses that's fixed up, moving ready, expect to spend, I would say, $200,000+ for one of those houses, from one of these houses. Now, the real big houses you see, I would say those houses fixed up are gonna go for every bit of 300 and some thousand bucks. Now, some of the smaller ones, that they might go for around a couple hundred. But I would suggest that if you look for a house in this area, you're going to want to have a bare minimum of a couple $100,000. Now we're on the west end of Anderson. And to be more specific, this part of West Anderson is gonna be I want to say this is gonna be the southwest side of Anderson. But this is West Anderson that we're driving through right now. And I will say, a lot of the crime that you hear about happening in the city of Anderson, a lot of the drug abuse that you hear about the city of Anderson having, this is going to be the side of town where the majority of those activities are going to occur. So when it comes to Anderson's crime and Anderson's drug abuse and all that type of stuff, I mean, best believe that type of stuff is gonna primarily be only in a couple of the sections of the city. This side of the city being one of them. Now, there are pockets, even on this side of Anderson, that on it to where it's not too bad. But I would say, just speaking in general, this side of town is going to be the city, it's going to be one of the least desired areas to live in the city. Now, is this side of town as bad as, let's say, Northeast Indianapolis? No. Is this in Gary, Indiana? No. And as you guys can see, there are areas, there are pockets in this side of town to where people do take care of their house, and they do have at least an element of pride in their community. And this part of West Anderson I'm driving through right now is not even the worst part of West Anderson. This part of West Anderson I'm driving through right now is actually one of the better sections of West Anderson. I mean, right now, I'm on Atwood Drive, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to stay on Atwood Drive just for a second here. Just so you guys can see the better sections of West Anderson. Because this, if you look at buying a house and you see a West Anderson address, don't automatically assume that the area is going to be a bad that the house is in a bad neighborhood because it's got a West Anderson address, or it's got a 46016 address, which is the West Anderson, and it also goes in the east section of the city to that zip code. But anyways, what you guys are looking at right now is one of the best parts of West Anderson. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Now, I would say, just judging by the housing market here, if you're looking to live in an area like this, plan to pay at least a couple $100,000 for a house. And I'm still on Irvington. Now I'm gonna jump off to West 11th Street. And as you guys will see, the further I go this way, the more that the neighborhoods are gonna start to change for the worst. Like Arrow Avenue. Now Arrow Avenue. First, I'm gonna show you guys the. Well, I'm gonna go this way because I want to point out something to you guys here. Now Arrow Avenue is a relatively busy street here in the city of Anderson. In fact, this is one of the main streets in the city of Anderson. So if you're looking to buy a house that's located here on Arrow Avenue, understand that there's going to be a lot of traffic out here. So if you're looking to live somewhere, you know, nice and quiet to where you don't hear traffic, you don't deal with a bunch of people out and about walking around, I would say anywhere on Arrow Avenue is not going to be the type of place you're going to want to live. And secondly, the parts of Arrow where people are allowed to park their vehicles out in the street, just like I told you on 8th, you're going to have a lot of people cruising down the street, you know, all strung out, drunk, whatever the case might be, and they'll run right into the back of your vehicle and tear it up. So again, if you're looking to buy a house on this street, be extremely careful when parking your vehicles in the street. And just so I don't make this video too long, a lot of these drive-thrus that I do of every side of the city, they're not going to be in depth. They're going to be relatively short and brief. That way I don't make the video too long. I mean, it's going to be a long video as it is because of the type of information that I'm going to give about Anderson. But I don't want to make it like too terribly long. So understand, if you want a more detailed video of any side of the cities that you see on this video, feel free to go on my channel. And once you go on my channel, you can locate different sections of the city that I drive through in more in depth than what I'm going to be doing on this particular video. Alright folks, this is Arrow Avenue, and one thing I would like to point out is, right, I mean, like I just got off of West 25th. So when you're from West 25th, if you're going on, let's say, Arrow Avenue in the surrounding areas, understand one thing. And I'm going to stay on Airwood Avenue just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Now, the neighborhoods that are closer to West 25th are going to be some of the most sketchy communities. I mean, these neighborhoods are going to be more, they're going to be more ran down, more sketchy, more criminal activities going on and all that type of stuff. These are going to be the type of neighborhoods that if you have, these are going to be the type of areas that personally I wouldn't recommend people to do a whole lot of investing in. Now, I guess if you really want to be a homeowner and you have less than $50,000 and you want to come around here and grab something up for 40 or 50 grand, okay, do what you do. I mean, I've done it before when I was broke, so I'm not gonna sit here and be hypocritical and tell you guys no, don't come around here and don't buy anything. If you do, you're an idiot. I'm not gonna do all that to you folks, because if I did, I would be a hypocrite, because I understand that some of you out here that do not desire to rent, you desire to own. You're like me, you rather own. So if you have less than maybe $60,000 to drop on a house, then by all means, this neighborhood I'm driving through right now would be the area that you would most likely end up living if you're wanting to live here in the city of Anderson. But if you have more than $60,000 to buy a house, I would deeply urge you to... Oh, by the way, I'm on West 22nd at this point. And all these different areas I'm driving through are all areas that are going to be your least desirable areas in the city to reside. And these areas are going to also be the cheapest areas where you can live here in the city of Anderson. But anyhow, I would say if you have more than 60 grand to drop on a house, I personally would either A, save up a little more so you can buy in a better neighborhood, or B, just do some careful shopping around to where you can find something in a better neighborhood, or perhaps in a whole different city. Or if you got a little bit of handyman skills, you can always go to a better neighborhood and buy a fixer-upper, as I've done a couple of times before. But I would say if someone has, let's say, a couple $100,000 saved up to buy a house, and they come to me and they ask me in the comment section, or they ask me in person, hey Andrew, I want to live in Anderson. I got kinfolk in Anderson. What side of the city would you suggest I live in? Or if they showed me a picture of a house that was in this neighborhood, I would tell them to not do it. I would tell them to go somewhere else and look around for a house. And like I said, there are pockets of this side of Anderson, West Anderson, where the neighborhoods aren't too bad. The houses don't look too bad, but even with all that being said, I would say in general, if you're gonna live in this community in West Anderson, I wouldn't bother to drop any more. I personally, all right, now I'm on Nickel Avenue. I personally wouldn't bother to drop any more than 60 grand on a house. Now, on Nickel Avenue, if I keep going this way, I'll end up in Edgewood, which is a very nice suburbanish community right by Anderson, which I've done a video of Edgewood, so feel free to go on my channel and check that out. Now, some of these houses here on Nickel Avenue are very nice, but honestly, once again, Nickel Avenue is not my cup of tea. Nickel Avenue is going to be another one of those type of streets where it's going to be extremely busy, a lot of traffic. Same thing with the street that I'm driving through right now. Right now, I'm on Rabel Avenue. This is another very busy street. And this is another one of those areas where if you're going to buy a house, I'm going to drive through here, see what's going on. But yeah, the Rabel Avenue that I just got off of is another one of those streets where if you're going to buy a house, just understand that it's a very busy street. People on that street drive very fast. And if you have to park in the street over there, understand that there's a decent chance that somebody might run into your car and total it. Now, Rabel Avenue, like I said, I personally wouldn't buy a house on Rabel. It's not my cup of tea, too much traffic. It's an okay place to live, but it's not the best. I'm on West 18th Street. And I'm passing up Dewey. Now, if you see a house, I'm going to turn around and go down Dewey for a minute here. Now, in this particular neighborhood I'm driving through, once again, I definitely would not live in this area. This area, in my opinion, is extremely sketch. You got a lot of stuff that goes on in this area that people that are looking to live in a decent neighborhood wouldn't want in their community. Again, if you're looking to buy a cheap house because it's all the money that you got, it's all that you can afford, okay, do what you do. But as I say, if you got more than 60 grand, keep saving. Go look somewhere else. Go look in another city. Although Anderson is one of the cheapest cities in Indiana where you can live, sometimes you can go look elsewhere and find something that's a little better. Or you can, like I said, you can go buy you a fixer-upper in another neighborhood. I mean, yeah, you'll have to do a little bit of work, but at the end of the day, you'll probably have a better house, and you'll definitely will be in a better neighborhood. And now we're back on Era Avenue. I'm gonna cross over because I really want you guys to get a clear picture of what I'm talking about. In fact, let's see if I can. There you go. Yeah, I want you guys to get a clear picture of what I'm talking about when I tour through some of these areas. Now, this area I'm going down right now, this is going to be the type of community where you'll find people outside in front of your yard, in front of your house, doing certain type of illegal activities. And these are also the type of areas where you're gonna find certain people wanting to perform certain type of favors. I can't really get into detail of what I mean because it's YouTube. I'm pretty sure some of you already know what I'm alluding to. And this video is starting to get a little long, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a part 2 of this video and just show you guys some of the more desirable places in the city to live. I'm going to go ahead and just stay doing areas of the city that are the least desirable. I know a lot of you that aren't even looking to live in Anderson, you like seeing these kind of videos. You like when we drive through the hood and all that, so I'm going to keep doing it on this video. And I'll just do a whole separate video of some of the areas in the city that are more desirable. In fact, I'm going to stay on the street. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of the areas where I used to live. Back when I lived here in Anderson. Right now I'm driving down Faulkner Street, going towards West 15th. I'm going to keep driving down to the next street, to West 14th. Now, I mean, in all these areas I'm driving through are areas that I personally would not want to live. A couple of these areas I used to live, and I would say if you have over 60 grand to drop on a house, my suggestion would be to go look elsewhere. I don't care. I mean, it could be another side of, it could be a different side of the city here in Anderson, or it could be a whole different city altogether. I don't care. I would say if you got more than 60 grand to drop on a house, I wouldn't live in this area at all. I'd rather go to another side of Anderson and buy a fixer-upper than to live over here. and have something that's turnkey moving ready. Alright folks, we're going back on Arrow Avenue where I used to live. That white house that you guys are looking at, that used to be my house. That used to be my house here in Anderson. I stayed in that house for 2 years. I purchased it for $5,000. I did a little bit of renovation work to it. Didn't do anything, you know, I did some renovation work to it because it needed a whole lot of work. So I probably soaked in about $20,000 just to bring it to a habitable state. And I'm now on Nickel Avenue. I'm going to turn off here. Oh, and by the way, the area that I was driving in at the beginning of the video was also West Anderson. The area I was on at the beginning of the video was West 2nd. Okay, I'm going to be driving down Henry. I meant to go down the next street, but oh well. Now I'm driving down West 15th. I'm gonna drive down Locust. And this is another street that and if you guys look very close and you look at all the garbage and debris that's on the ground, let that be an indication of the type of neighborhood this is. And for those of you that are watching this video and you know people that live in this area, you live in this area yourself perhaps. I'm not down talking anyone that lives in this area. I used to live in this area myself. I'm just saying that, I mean, for those that want to live in Anderson or want to invest in Anderson, I'm just trying to point out the areas where those individuals are most likely not going to want to invest too much of their money in or move their family in. Alright, now I'm gonna have to kind of turn around here so you guys can. Alright, this is the other side of Faulkner that I'm driving on right now. Alright folks, this white house on the corner, that used to be my house. And I am on Faulkner Street right now. And now I'm getting ready to drive down West 21st. Yeah, that white house you guys just saw, they used to be my house. I bought that house, I want to say about, I bought that house 9 years ago. I bought that house. I purchased that house for, man, I gotta think. I think when I bought that house, I purchased it for like $13,000. And then I put another 10 into making it habitable. Alright folks, that is West Anderson for you. So far I've showed you guys the downtown area and I've showed you guys West Anderson. Honestly, I spent a little too much time on this side of town. I didn't mean to be on this side of town for this long, but it is what it is. I got a little too carried away with the tour, so I hope you enjoyed it. And now I'm going to jump on and I'm going to show you guys another side of Anderson, which, you know, a lot of people would say is a little better than West Anderson. And I get, you know, now me personally, this particular side of Anderson, which I'm going to take you guys to in a minute here. Now we're going to head to the east side of Anderson. Like before, just to recap a little bit on what you guys just saw, I showed you guys downtown. I started off the video in the northwest section of Anderson. Then we went downtown. And then from downtown, I drove all over the what would be considered, I think that would be considered the northwest side of Anderson. Now my house I showed you on Faulkner, that would be considered the southwest side of Anderson. And now I'm traveling east because we're gonna head to the east side of Anderson, and to be more, I'm on West 14th Street, and to be more specific, I'm gonna take you guys through the southeast side of Anderson. Alright, people, this is considered the east side of Anderson, and I'm still on 14th. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on the Columbus. Alright, folks, I lived on this side of town for, I would say, about a couple of years. And I gotta say, now there's people that are from Anderson, lived in Anderson their entire life. And some people might say that this side of town is a little better than the west side. Other people would say that this side is no better than the west side. I'm one of the people that would say this side is no better than the west side. Now, in my humble opinion, I think this side of town is every bit as sketch as the parts of West Anderson that I showed you earlier. Now, due to the sun glare, it's going to be hard for you guys to see right now, but if you guys look real closely, you'll see a whole bunch of garbage and debris all over the road, all over the sidewalks, all over the grass. And this is another area of Anderson that I personally wouldn't suggest anybody to live. I mean, honestly, I would say even if you're looking to buy a real cheap home, personally, I'd rather go to the west end of Anderson and buy a cheaper home than to come over here and do it. Because, like, you know, on this side of Anderson, your property taxes are going to be double compared to what they are on the west end. Like, on the west end of Anderson, if you were to purchase a home, your property taxes before your homestead break would run, I want to say your taxes would run, I'll just say $600 a year. Now, if you come on this side of Anderson to reside, your property taxes before the homestead would run around $1,200 a year. So your taxes on this side of town is a lot higher, and from what I've heard, the taxes on this side of town were higher because back in the more glorious days of this city, the General Motors plant used to be on this side of town. So I personally wouldn't suggest anyone to live on this. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to live on this side of town. I personally wouldn't invest on this side of town. I mean, I'm not a fan of this side of town at all. I mean, the reason why I'm not a fan is because, for starters, the houses are way too close into together. And then on top of that, many of these communities are really no safer than many of your communities in West Anderson. Now you got some houses over here that are newer. Yeah, Asbury Glen Homes. I mean, all these houses are relatively new. I would say these houses were built within the last, I'll just say, a couple of years, give or take. Now, me personally, I wouldn't want to even live in this area, because it's too close to areas that are, in my opinion, a bit sketch. And again, this area, it's definitely not the worst that the city of Anderson has to offer, but it's far from the best. And with the price of housing today, if I was still out looking for a house, I would definitely be a little bit more critical on where I chose to live than I've been in the past. And I'm gonna cross the railroad tracks here. Here's the Lemon Drop. Now, I'm gonna back up here because I do not want to go on the main road. I'm gonna turn around and go back. Now, for those that come, now if you ever come and you visit Anderson and you're in this neighborhood, you drop by the Lemon Drop, you're hungry, you want to grab you a bite to eat, I will say yes, the Lemon Drop does have good tasting food, but I will also say your proportions suck. I mean, like, their hamburgers are about as thick as a piece of cardboard. So if you're looking for a good place to go to grab you a burger and some fries, enough to where you'll get full afterwards, the Lemon Drop is not going to be your place. Now, this neighborhood I'm in right now, I mean, you know, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily a bad neighborhood, but in my opinion, it's definitely not the best. Now, this is the street that I used to live on. And I've also had a house on this street that I used to own. And in a minute here, I'm going to turn around and show you guys what the house looked like. I mean, that gray house that you guys see, which I'm getting rid of, that I just drove by, the big, tall, gray house. I used to own that house. I've owned it for a couple of years. I purchased it through land contract. And without getting into details about certain situations, I kept the house for a couple of years, and then I ended up giving it back to the owner. And like I said, I'm not getting into the details of any of that. And just as a constant reminder on this particular video, the areas I'm driving you guys through are areas that I personally wouldn't want to live in myself. I mean, some of these areas, yeah, they are pretty bad off. The crime is high. The crime and all that is high. But some of these other areas that I'm driving through, they're not necessarily a bad place to live. They're just not the best that the city has to offer. And they're just not the type of areas that I personally would consider investing in. Okay, I'm getting off of East 23rd and I'm going on a Noble. I mean, this is still part of East Anderson. This is the southeast part of Anderson, to be more specific. Okay, I'm going to jump on East 21st for a second. I'm going to turn down here on Walnut. Alright folks, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I mean, this is a long video. Obviously it's, you know, it's longer than what I thought it would be, but I got, you know, there was so much area that I wanted to cover, so that's why the video was this long. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I'm gonna make a part 2 of this video, and you guys have a blessed one, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Andrew's Life.